Hello students, welcome to Vidhan English classes. I am Vidhan Krishna, your English teacher. Today in this session, I am going to acquaint you all with a very important poem from class 12th, an elementary school classroom in a slum. So stay tuned from starting to end. If you like this video, kindly subscribe my channel Vidhan English classes and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Before we go deep into the poem, let's discuss the title of the poem, Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. Elementary means primary. That is, elementary word is used for primary school. And where is the school? In a slum. That is, of an area having incomplete infrastructure, inhabited by impoverished people. Now, what's meaning of impoverished? It means poor. So, we can say the title refers to a primary school classroom of a backward area comprising of poor, ill-fed, needy people. So we see the title is very unusual, and this is the speciality of the poem of Stephen Spender, as his most of the writing reflects or conveys social injustice and class struggle that is prevalent in the human society. Now, dear students, let me acquaint you all a little about the poet. Dear students, Stephen Spender was born on 28th February 1909, that is 1909, in Kensington, London, and died on 16th July 1995 in London. He was one of the famous English poet, novelist, and essayist. His most of the poem was often inspired by social protest. He was appointed the 17th Poet Laureate Consultant in Poetry to the United States Library of Congress in 1965. Now, before we go deep into the poem, dear students, now let's discuss the theme of the poem. The prominent theme of the poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, is the plight of poor children living in slums. The poet wants the life of the slum children be changed. He wants their poverty to end. He wishes poor children to live in healthier, hygienic, and beautiful environment. Current condition of education in slums must be improved, and this should be done at the earliest. Otherwise, the slum children will indulge themselves in bad activities such as stealing, robbing, etc. Dear students, in the poem, the poet compares the condition of the haves, that is, privileged children, and the have-nots, underprivileged children of slum. Line by line explanation. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky hair of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dean class, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. In the first stanza, the poet wants to convey that the slum children are sitting in the classroom of a slum school. They are far, far away from the winds or sea waves. Here, the crusty waves refers to development, physical infrastructure, vitality, happiness, and also they are far, far away from the lap of nature. The disorderly, uncombed hair on their pale faces look like rootless wild plants, and like the disorderly, uncombed hair on their pale faces look like rootless wild plants, and like unwanted wild plants, the children of the slum too are unwanted by society and thus are neglected and ignored. The tall girl who is sitting there is depressed. She keeps her head down as she is weighed with the responsibilities of life and thus has a weighed down head. A boy who is sitting in a corner is very thin, that is, as thin as paper. His poverty has driven him to this condition. His eyes are bulging out like those of the rat, seems scared, and his eyes continuously seek some kind of nourishment. His growth is blocked and the body remains underdeveloped. His body remains undeveloped. He is physically disfigured because he is stunted in his growth. Since he has inherited this disease from his father, he is referred to as an unlucky hare. Young boy sits at the back of the dark room. He is unnoticed. Dream seems to be alive in his eyes. He dreams of outdoor games. Outside his dull and drab classroom, he dreams of squirrels playing games in the hollow of the tree. Just like a squirrel flits in and out of his tree house, so his thoughts are 1 minute in the class and the next minute out of the class, far away. Due to his hunger, he does not focus on his studies and easily distracted. Now let's come to second stanza. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head. Cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, belled, flowery, tireless valley, open-handed map awarding the world its world. And yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. In this stanza, students, in this stanza, the poet wants to convey that the gifts given as donations and the picture of Shakespeare's head are hung on the unpleasant creamy walls. But they are useless for the children. In the early morning, the sky is cloudless. Domes of the civilized world shine in every city. That means domes, gumbad of reputed educational building and universities shines in every city. So are the tireless valley, music of cathedral bells, fragrance of flowers pervades there. The map of the world is made and reshaped by those in power like Hitler captures other countries and partitions it apart and impose their world on others. For these poor slum children, the world is meaningless. Adventure and education are a far cry for them. Their own dirty, unpleasant surroundings form their own world. They live in a world where the fog of uncertainty dominates their future. The poor children's life is confined within the narrow streets of the slum, enclosed by the dull sky. Fog is a natural phenomena which obliterates all vision. Similarly, the future of the slums students is also foggy, as it is unclear and bleak. Fog of uncertainty dominates their future. Slum children world is far away from rivers, seas, and stars, which indicate that adventure, development, and education are a far cry for them. Now, students, let's come to third stanza. Surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes from fog to endless night. On their slag hip, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and, spectacles of steel, with mended glass like bottle bits on stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum, so blot their map with slums as big as doom. In this stanza, poet says Shakespeare, a famous poet, dramatist, and writer, often wrote about kings and queens. His poetry reflects a life of pomp, wealth, and glamour. These all things holds no interest to these slum children. Students, the world is full of attraction, beautiful ship, the warmth of sun, and beautiful things. These things might attract the children. They might get tempted to steal them. These beautiful things of the world might encourage the slum children to lead a life of crime because exposure to a life full of wealth, luxury, and happiness, they might be lured to a world of crime as they are very far from such things. They live in a crowded slum, say holes, and there is no end to this kind of life. It starts from the fog, that is uncertainty, and ends with their death. Here, fog and endless night means a life of hopelessness and despair. On the hip of west, these small children wanders. Their bones are peeping out of their skins as they are malnourished and starved. Their spectacles look like pieces of broken bottles or stones. All their times and space is spent in those dirty and foggy slums. These slums are living hells. These slums are living nightmares. The slum and the children living there are blots on humanity. काला धब्बा है मानवता के ऊपर ये झुग्गी झोपड़ियां. The slums and the children living there are blots on humanity, on the world of the rich and the great. Now the last stanza. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Break open till they break the town, and show the children the green field, and show the children two green fields, and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open, history there whose language is the sun. In the last stanza, the poet wants to convey that there is no relationship between the map of civilized world and the world of these poor slum children. Therefore, the poet appeals governors, teachers, inspectors, and visitors must abridge this gap between haves and have-nots. Ruler class must peep into the world of the poor slum children. Only they can bring a change to the life of the slum children. The common man is never heard. Only people in authority can take any radical steps to improve slum children's future. The unsuitable environment of the slum has shut all their gates to progress. Unless the slum children are given opportunities to explore, they will never be able to look or think beyond their slum. If the slum children don't get opportunities for self-discovery and exploration, their slum will become their cemeteries, and they will die there only. All obstacles on the way of their progress must be broken so that slums children can be exposed to a world beyond their slums, to the green field and golden sands, which indicate an unlimited world of opportunities. Let us give slum children opportunity to read and write. Let us give slum children opportunity to read and be exposed to education and literacy. Let the pages of wisdom be open for them. Let them realize their potential. Let them also become powerful human resource. Let them also become great so that they can also create history. Hope you understood the lesson, the poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. That's all in this video. See you in the next video lecture on any other poem.